he needs to be kind of moved on in the summer. Like that, I think we can all see it.
Essentially what we're seeing is a team that's relied heavily on Rashford, running out of ideas.
And after the weekend, Chelsea are back.
I've actually, my quota of big men love has gone. Hello and welcome to our brand new show, imaginatively titled Monday Vibes. Now, of course, we teased this yesterday on Sunday Vibes. This is going to be coming out every Monday, hopefully, and it will be in addition to your Sunday Vibes usual content. So we're not getting rid of Sunday Vibes. This is just adding on to the end of it. And it's obviously going to be us reacting to the weekend stuff. You guys have been asking for this show for maybe 10 years, even though the channel hasn't been going that long. Look who's joined me today. It's Henry Hill. It's Zac Henry. Boys, how was your weekend?
Good, very good. Obviously, was abused yesterday for the shout of Luka Modric.
Rightly so. Well done,
I still stand
man.
by it.
One of the worst shouts in football daily history.
I absolutely stand by it, and I will die on the hill that Luka Modric would be a success at Man City. But it is what it is. It is what it is. People just don't like the idea of other people having other opinions. Hennis, how you doing, brother? Coronation? How was Grandad?
I know it's sad.
Well done, the boy.
Mate, I thought he did so well. Carlitos, as he's known back home. Chazza. Yeah, Cam as well. Cammy out there. No, it was good. It was what a weekend. No, I've had a good time. You said that having me on is like the dregs of FD. You said that
I never said that.
You said that on Sunday Vibes too. So, but anyway, yeah.
I think it's nice to have you on. It's nice to have some European football knowledge on the show as well.
Look at the set.
I have to say we've even got as far as to buy croissants for this one. So we're really pushing the boat out. Now the way we're going to do this show is we're going to start with our moments of the weekend. So that's going to be our personal ones, just some quick fire ones. Then we're going to get into the big talking points of the weekend, answer some of your questions at home, and then we're going to finish off with some things to look forward to. We're not completely set on this show, so if you've got any suggestions of what you want to see, let us know in the comments below. We're very open, very adaptable. We're doing a few of these shows before the season ends, just to try and get a feel of it ahead of the season that's going to begin 23-24. Let's start then with moments of the weekend. Any personal ones anybody wants to shout out straight away?
As in what happened over the weekend
personally?
in
the world of
football,
please.
yeah, no, I'm going to kick it off with Jay Stansfield. Now, he had an incredible story.
Yeah.
I think his name's been mentioned a few times throughout this season. Obviously, at the beginning of the season, he went from your club, Fulham, on loan to Exeter City, where they actually unretired the number 9 shirt. Obviously, Jay's dad, Adam Stansfield, passed away back in 2010. And when that happened, Exeter City retired the number 9 shirt. And then his son, amazing football story, went on loan to them this season from Fulham. They unretired it for him. And then on the final game for the club on loan, who knows, maybe he does go back one day, he scored a hat-trick.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's actually crazy, man. Isn't it?
It's incredible.
That's like an unbelievable narrative, to go back and wear your dad's shirt and bang a hat-trick.
I mean, I don't think there's many footballers that will get to experience that at all. I mean, in terms of like, it is such a unique moment in his career. I mean, and to finish on a high like that, that's next level stuff.
Shout out the boy.
So,
yeah, that's a feel-good story.
Going from a young lad, Jay Stansfield, to an old dog in
Can you not call him an old dog, please?
I mean, in a good way.
He's so
A
disrespectful.
podcast connoisseur.
Listen, I love Neil Warnock. I think he's an absolute legend, and he's done it again.
You just called him a dog 2 minutes ago,
No.
mate.
I called him a wily character. No, he's, if people don't know, he took over Huddersfield when they were 7 points adrift. 30 years ago, he managed them for the first time, and he's gone back to the club.
Wow.
And he's kept them up, and he's apparently just reignited everything about Huddersfield Town. They've got new ownership coming in. The fans are happy again. I think he won like 6, drew 4, and lost 5 of his 15 games in charge. And then they gave him a guard of honour at the end, which I thought was really cool.
That, yeah.
But actually, moment of the weekend is the real coronation, which is Napoli, crown kings of Italy. So that was
absolutely
the
very
scenes
nice,
in Naples. Next level. My housemate has been sending me like videos the whole time. It's just, it's been going off. Like, did you see the one of all the fireworks?
I did.
Yeah.
I saw
Just lighting
Kieran's
up.
tweet. I was in agreement with Kieran Carlin's tweet that imagine being a dog growing up in Italy, mate. Rough times.
Rough times.
Not easy at the moment. Not easy.
Rough times this weekend.
Yeah.
My moment of the weekend then, I think it should be Notts County. I'm not going to lie, I think it should be Notts County. That was absolutely remarkable on the weekend. Obviously, everybody knows the season they've had, battling out of Wrexham, finishing second on 107 points, blah, blah, blah. But then to be this close to going out at the semi-final stage of the playoffs, because the semi-final stage of the playoff is only one leg at that level. So it's not like you get the return leg. The one leg happens at the team's ground who finishes higher in the league as well. So it was at Notts County. They're about to go out. 98th minute equaliser, 118th minute winner.
Not sure the keeper was doing.
Yeah, it's whiffing, isn't it? It's shocking, isn't it? But I really hope Notts County go up. I really hope Notts County go up.
To have the amount of points they have and not automatically go up is
107 points, and then we all love the Wrexham story, and that it is fun, but it is also like a story of like money being pumped in. Like Notts County have the history, they have the heritage, don't they? I kind of want.
They've got 2 young owners, Notts County, that have done the whole like stats thing. That's how they've built their team together. It's like really smart the way that they've gone about it. So it is the fact that they've kept pace with Wrexham using a different model. Let's not. I mean, Notts County are probably going to have a bigger budget than most of the teams in the National League. Still,
pretty much all of them. I think.
But yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting debate. Like the Football League basically would have to agree to give another promotion place to the National League, and it's just like. There's so many teams in League 2 that are just coasting. They would never let it happen.
Yeah, it is quite crazy. All right, then. Enough talking about what we enjoyed. Let's talk about the big talking points from the weekend. We're going to start with Arsenal yesterday. And this question was asked by Josh on Twitter. And he says, are Arsenal realistically now back in the title race? Were they ever actually out of the title race?
I guess
I think a lot of people did write it over, didn't it? It was written off for a lot of people.
With the way City are playing at the moment, it's understandable to feel or to have that kind of defeatist mentality after the Man City Arsenal game that it did become in City's hands, because it is now. That is the situation that no matter what Arsenal do, City can guarantee themselves the Premier League if they win all their games. Whereas previously it was Arsenal that was in that position and that loss. And I think. Even the game against Newcastle was really, really interesting. Like
it's one of my favourite
for
games
a game
of
that finished 2-0 to one side, which maybe makes you feel like it was one-sided. It really, really wasn't. It was a game that was going both ends, hit the post several times. Newcastle. It was one that you kind of thought at times could be the thing that ends Arsenal's title.
I actually thought that was. I mean, it was definitely Arsenal's best away performance of the season. I thought, and it might have been Arsenal's best flat-out performance of the season. They were so good. I think they were helped by some poor finishing by Newcastle. Let's get that out of the way straight away. You know, Willock should have scored. Fabian Schär should have definitely scored. I think Alexander Isaac should have scored his header as well. But overall, when you go to St James's Park, it is, alongside Anfield, one of those places that is like when the crowd are up, it is just hell there. You are just under so much pressure. The first 5 minutes when they hit the post and then it was a penalty, I thought, this is going to be a horrendous 9 minutes. There's no way Arsenal win this game. And they just coped with it, man. Like, Jorginho was awesome. The stats were popping up at the end, weren't they? Like, most passes, most times tackles won and stuff like that. But forget all that. His actual composure and calm nature infected the rest of the team. Him and Ødegaard were just an absolutely sensational duo.
The duo was really nice together, because I think like that's something I know Sam kind of put it in the Football Day chat yesterday as a bit of a joke, but also quite seriously that like Jorginho was getting complimented on things that he's been criticised for over the past couple of seasons.
But there's times, isn't there? If that is,
no, there is. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. In this kind of case where you are Arsenal and you are winning 1-0 or you're winning 2-0, someone like Jorginho who can help you tick over games, can win fouls in the middle of the park by kind of those late passes where he then gets tackled and wins a foul, kills the game a little bit, can help massively. And in those games, it is huge. In other games, when you're 1-0 down,
when you want to be quick in the game,
quicker, it can be of disadvantage. But you mentioned the other guy, Ødegaard. I mean, he was just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Gary Neville on the Overlap last week, kind of doubling down on his claim that Arsenal have a lack of leaders in their team, and he was pointing to Zinchenko not necessarily being a leader on the pitch over the last few weeks with his performances. And I think there has been a drop off in Zinchenko's game in the last month or so, and I think that's probably down to the fact that when they are more backs to the wall defending, that's not his element. Yeah. When they're in control of the game and he's able to invert and build possession, that's where he's at his best. But I still feel like some of the claims about Ødegaard not being a leader, I don't know.
It's nonsense, and it's coming from someone who's so used to the leaders in the dressing room being those like Vidic, Ferdinand characters, or big characters. This is a different kind of game now that these guys are playing. And if you look at like Guardiola and the leaders within his squad, they're not these people that like scream and shout. And,
Rodri.
They're just like silent and competent operators. And I think Ødegaard is that. I mean, you don't get made captain of your country already at the age of like what? 22, whatever he is. People forget like how much football this guy has played already. Like, how often is there a 15-year-old superstar that actually breaks through and goes on to achieve like fulfill that
especially
potential?
at one point where it looked like it was going downhill as well, where it wasn't working out at Real Madrid, and then obviously had that loan to Real Sociedad, and then obviously the loan to Arsenal, and he's really picked up over the last couple of seasons. I think the other thing, you kind of mentioned his age there, I think there is a traditional thing to think that if you're a captain, you can't be the age of 24 or 25. Like you've got to be 27, 28 towards the latter end of your career, where you've experienced the game, you've played for 8 years or whatever it might be.
I was reading that, like, Trossard said he's the first person to introduce himself as get to the club. He's the one that gelling everyone together. Apparently he sits with everyone at different lunches and stuff like that.
FaceTime to the fans on the train back yesterday.
He's also like, how can you say he's not providing leadership? He scored 15 goals from midfield this season and 7 assists.
It's astonishing. I think George Barnacamera was saying before this that it's the most goals, non-penalty goals from a midfielder in a single Premier League season, or matching like level on it.
I found it very interesting, considering what Dan Burn had spoken to literally yourself about the big not
shapes.
Wanting to kind of have big shapes. Don't let the ball go under your legs. Obviously, I think Arsenal did so well to kind of get the ball so quickly to Odegaard, but then Odegaard had so much room as well to have the shot, and then it goes through Dan Burn's
Was it Dan Burn?
legs.
I thought it was Botman's.
I think it was, and I thought it was Dan Burn, but maybe it was Botman. Who knows? But still, that's the whole thing. The Newcastle defence is practicing is these big shapes,
small
and
shapes.
Suddenly it happened and goes through the leg. I thought Nick Pope could have maybe slightly done a little bit better, but it does go through a lot of bodies. He is trying to look through a lot of people to see it. And Odegaard just at the moment just keeps finding the back of the net.
I know. And the goals are so good. Like, they're such good finishes. The goal against Chelsea midweek, where it's goals, but the goal in particular, the first one where he hits it first time, back from where it's come, in off the underside of the bar. Obviously, always
probably should have got a second in this game as well. Actually,
he definitely should have got a second. Arsenal had chances in this game. Obviously, Newcastle had chances. We've spoken about them, and we'll speak a little bit more about Newcastle in a second. But some of the other chances, Saka had a one-on-one. That's a great opportunity. You think about the one where right at the end of the first half, like you said, Odegaard has the sort of one-on-one. Martinelli hits the bar. Arsenal had plenty of chances to win this game by a bigger margin, and I think it is kind of testament to them that even though they didn't take them, they didn't let it get too much. Sometimes you start missing chances, you think it's not going to be our day here, we're going to panic and it's all going to go wrong. But they were fine.
I actually think that they might just prefer this being behind City for the last few games of going to the season, being there for the moments when City potentially do slip up, because we saw that in the last 10 minutes of the City game. They almost blew it. They almost blew it against Leeds in a funny way. I mean, there was that slight bit of momentum where after Leeds got the first goal that they could maybe push on, which was quickly dispelled. But I actually think Arsenal, given their sort of struggles in recent weeks, being the chasing team,
I know what you mean,
is going to maybe help them to take the pressure off them a little bit. And to go away to the sort of third best team in the league this season, walk away with a clean sheet and a 2-goal victory. I mean, I think that says a lot about this Arsenal team, which people have been criticising.
A few people might be saying, was it a penalty early doors? I didn't think so. I thought it was absolutely clear. It hit his leg first.
Thigh onto arm is not a penalty.
I don't even know whether it hit his arm. It felt like to me, it just it hit his thigh in front of his arm. Then his arm was behind. It was never a pen for me.
It almost needed the angle on the right that it didn't show to the public
when it went to the VAR.
Yeah, when it went to the VAR, it was front on. It almost needed the angle kind of to the right of it to see a better whether it hit the arm. But I think if it hits your thigh and then goes off into your arm, and your arm is in, and your arm is still in a pretty good place, like normal position for it. It should be a pen. Do you actually think it's not a penalty? It should have been a pen.
I think that there's been worse penalties given than that.
That I can agree to, but the consistency of
there
refereeing is a whole other argument.
There was some funny arm movement. There was something going on there. Little chicken dance. There was a little chicken dance in there.
I mean, I think we'll get onto one later on in the show, which I think is more of a penalty than that.
Vicky Lindelof's.
Vicky Lindelof's.
It's important that
but I mean, it's so what they need to do next. I think what this showcases, especially with VAR as well, is that the consistency of handballs. It's just nobody knows. Like right now, if you show me a handball, I would have no. But it needs to be some sort of consistency.
There's no such thing, mate. There's literally no such thing. I think UEFA got the 50 of the head coaches from Europe's top leagues in one room once, and they played 5 handball incidents.
And there were different opinions.
Across the 50 people, it was split like 26-24 on all 5 incidents.
And that's fine, but they need to go, okay, we're going to go with this option. And so everyone knows that this is a handball, because you're going into games.
They tried doing that and it didn't work. I
honestly think the Champions League's ruling of the handball is the best there is, just because it's consistent. I really do. Like it's basically just, here's your hand, it's a handball, essentially. And I get to the degree.
But the amount of times we've seen people moaning about Champions League handballs, and Europa League handballs is mad.
But I think it's consistent, man. Because at least then, if you have a game in 2 weeks' time and that same thing happens,
it's not consistent. I mean, let's take, for example, Manchester United. I'm going to throw this out there because this is the example that first springs to mind. Manchester United in the group stage of the Europa League, the handball against Lisandro Martinez, where he flings himself at it hits him on the leg, bounces up and hits his hand. That's a penalty. They give that as a penalty. So you're saying the one against Arsenal should have been a penalty by that ruling?
Sure, but as long as it's consistent.
No,
I don't mind like the ruling of what happens.
Whether
if the consistent rule is okay, that's not a penalty, then I'm fine with that. But that just needs to be the consistent rule. I think it's so unfair that, say, a game like this weekend would happen, and in 2 weeks' time, the same thing happened, and it's the different decision. Like, that's the thing that I always find is the most frustrating. Because you know what? Even if you think it isn't, as long as every other game is being ruled the same way, then I'm fine with that. Because then there's a fair level of consistency.
Yeah, I know what you mean. What do we think of Newcastle in this one? I actually didn't think they were that bad.
Unlucky. I thought they were unlucky.
I thought Bruno Guimaraes had one of his worst games in a Newcastle shirt. He was. I thought he looked a bit leggy for the first time this season. He
was running around after Odegaard as well, which isn't easy.
Yeah,
just mentioned how incredible he was. So,
but they still create loads of chances. And the one thing I will say, if you're a Newcastle fan watching this at home, don't moan about time wasting. Newcastle fans on Twitter saying, "Oh, Arsenal just time wasting constantly." Eddie Howe in his post-match interview when he was like, "Oh, it's really disappointing to see the ball out of play constantly." What world? Am I living in a different world here? Newcastle on average this season have had the ball in play for 52 minutes a game. It's by far the lowest amount of any team in the league. They are categorically, statistically, by the eye test, in every mannerism, the biggest time wasters in the league. Don't come out and moan about Arsenal time wasting after what we saw at the Etihad. Not the Etihad, at the Emirates. In the first game between these two, which was the ball was in play for about 10 minutes. Honestly, I could not believe it that Newcastle fans were moaning about time wasting yesterday when that is a large part of their tactical blueprint. Keep the ball out of play.
No, like the only thing they should have been worried about was scoring goals, because that was where
they were unfortunate not to, man.
Absolutely. I just think if they get their summer window right, Newcastle are going to be seriously dangerous for a while. And it's
who do you think needs upgrading in that Newcastle team? Because I looked at that lineup yesterday. I actually don't think the shape worked as well yesterday as it has. Because obviously that was the first time we've seen Wilson and Isaac start together. Maybe this season, certainly for a long time. With the front two, and Isaac was kind of playing a lot further left. I actually think they work a lot better when it's just one of them playing, and you don't have to accommodate both of them. Personally, I'm not sure. I'm not completely sure about the two.
I like Isaac and Wilson together. I mean,
I think it's better as an impact though. Better as an impact off the bench than as a starting formation.
Isaac's shown like what an amazing assist merchant he can be as well, as well as his normally good.
Merchant feels a bit harsh there.
No, that's the first word that came to my head.
I get you,
but yeah, no, it's I just think if they can get some players in, like you said, Murphy. I think don't get me wrong. I think Murphy's really stepped up this season.
Massively.
Willock too. After like having initially gone there after his loan and not impressing so much, they've all stepped up massively. But just think how much depth they're going to have if they get some more players.
Yeah, well, especially when they're linked to the likes like Diaby, who we mentioned a little bit on Sunday Vibes yesterday. Like that could just take you from a team which has obviously had a stellar season to one that's consistently going to perform and challenge for the top four next campaign. It'll be interesting to see obviously as well how they deal with European football and playing these extra games, and I think that's something where if you can develop a squad and build a squad that can deal with that, then goodness gracious, you can be a team that's fighting in the top half for the rest.
Just
for a
bringing
long time.
it back to the title race, then obviously we're looking at Arsenal versus Man City here, and that question that was sent in. I mean, Man City's last loss was on the 5th of February against Spurs, so it's a long old time ago now. 10 Premier League wins in a row, but I'm looking at these fixtures. I would rather have Arsenal's running. I mean, City got to go away to Everton. I think they're going to win that. But then they've got Chelsea, Brighton away, and Brentford away. Last two games.
Forest away is going to be not easy. I mean, second to last game of the season, they're going to have nothing to lose, really. I think.
I don't know about that. I know that they've got big results there, haven't they? Obviously,
Everton away not easy.
Everton away is not easy.
They beat you. Did Forest beat you?
Sorry,
did Forest beat you at the City ground?
No, I cannot remember that game. I know we play Forest at home this weekend.
It took points off Liverpool, took points off City, but then I remember United going there and it was
draw maybe.
They were really bad.
And if I was City, I wouldn't want to have to go away to Brighton. Like they are just.
Well, away to Brighton.
To play, man. They're so hard to play.
Away to Everton. And normally, obviously, Brentford kind of feel like they're a little bit more on the beaches already. But normally, an away to Brentford isn't an easy game either.
Yeah, but even Brentford at Anfield on the weekend, I thought.
Yeah.
Created, like, if they have had some cutting edge, usually they do, but they were just blowing chance after chance, attack after attack against Liverpool.
And after the weekend, Chelsea are back. So Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Oh, sorry, it's Chelsea at the Etihad.
How does that feel? Easy. How does that feel to finally get a
man,
win
it's
on
beautiful.
the board?
Honestly, Zac in the WhatsApp groups on the weekend.
So I think I texted.
We're back.
Like
3-1. We're back.
I think I texted 3 times, and it was
300.
And it was something
maybe.
about me. It was something about me trying to take the mick out of Manchester United.
We haven't heard from Sam Obaseki in the WhatsApp group for 6 months.
Yeah,
on the weekend,
missing.
Suddenly 16 messages from Sam Obaseki about Man United.
This is definitely overblown here. Definitely overblown.
Not really.
Yeah, no. Look, it's going to come down. Like Brighton at home for Arsenal on the weekend on Sunday. Apparently, is going to be huge. That's a massive game.
They'll win that. I think they're going to win that.
Well,
I think they're going to win out. I think they're going to take 9 from 9 now.
They beat them pretty well at the Amex on New Year's Day.
Smashed
on the 31st of December. Or the last day of December. They did very, very well in the end. But however, this is a Brighton side that
it's improved since then, hasn't it? Really,
better and better.
Yeah, Brighton have also got a lot to play for.
Yeah, very true.
They could like they are still top 4 contenders, but they genuinely are still top 4 contenders because they are blowing small teams away, and including teams like Man United. Like they played United off the park the other night. There's no reason they can't go there and be super confident. Let's move on though, away from the top of the table to the top 4. And we've got this question from David, who says, how are Man United bottling the top 4? Oh dear.
How are they bottling top 4, Jay?
Dear. Well, there's quite a few reasons they're bottling the top 4. But I want to ask you two before I give my opinion, because I need to compose myself. Do you actually think they're going to?
Go on, Hennis.
1 point clear with a game in hand at the moment.
No. No, I think you'll be all right. I think you're going to be okay.
Needed to hear that, Henry. I really needed to hear that.
I don't think Liverpool... I think they've given themselves too much to do. And Liverpool do seem to be capable of throwing in a clanger of performance every now and then at the moment. But I just think you're going to be okay. I don't think... For Brighton, I think sort of the mental block of getting over into the top 4 might be quite hard, like we saw in although they did very well in the FA Cup semi-final, they are unlucky to lose that.
Probably should have won that, and they beat us.
There is an element of experience to United's side, which is helping them.
Their fixtures are gross as well, Brian. Like you having to go away to Arsenal and play City, and I think they maybe have still got you. Or
you'll be all right, but
they've already beat
Newcastle.
You are so desperately needing a new striker of sorts, because essentially what we're seeing is a team that's relied heavily on Rashford running out of ideas. Because he's just played too much football. And we saw that this weekend. I mean, they did
60 games up to now, United.
Created a fair few chances against West Ham. But it was a lot of it was like speculative efforts from Anthony.
Painful. When has this started happening? Honestly, I was in the pub yesterday watching the game, and I'm about to unload now. Just that was the switch for me.
Painful.
Painful. The amount of shots from outside the box, United. It's so un-Ten Hag. The amount of long balls being pumped forward. It's really painful to watch. Basically, in my opinion, what's happened is that United have just massively run out of steam and ideas. Yeah. Like, they're up to 60 games this season, and frankly, the squad is not deep enough to cope with 60 games this season. You see players like Wout Weghorst either starting or playing significant minutes off the bench. Anthony Martial, who scored 9 Premier League goals in 3 seasons now, by the way. It's really hard, and then there's you've lost both your starting centre backs, one of which in Lisandro Martinez is the key player to your entire build-up strategy. Hence why Casemiro now looks like he can't pass the ball. It's just disastrous. Having to play Luke Shaw at centre back means you lose all of the attacking output of Luke Shaw as a left back.
You have played, I think, every game available this year, if that makes sense. Like
we made to the final,
except for the Europa semi-finals, Europa League, other than the Europa League semi-finals,
Yeah, so it's testament to your squad that they've had that much work to do.
And the one thing I will say is this is obviously lost to Brighton, lost to West Ham. It's the first time this season after the opening weekend, where of course United lost to Brighton and Brentford in the opening 2 weeks, that United have lost 2 games in a row. So, United, I know lots of people hammering United and saying they're bottling it, they're chucking it away. Well, they've only lost 2 games in a row twice this season. This is one of the times, and I have to say, away at Brighton is an extremely hard place to go. Nobody really wants to go there. And then against West Ham 3 days later, I just thought United looked so tired. So tired.
Can I ask you what you think of David De Gea?
Yeah, we've got to talk about him, haven't we? We have to talk about him. I think the truth is that he needs to be kind of moved on in the summer. Like that, I think we can all see it, and I don't think there's any shame in that. He's been a magnificent servant for Manchester United. He's Manchester United's record clean sheet holder, but he's out of contract. He's the highest earning goalkeeper in the world. He's dramatically underperforming expected goals. His passing is nowhere near good enough for a team that needs and wants to build up from the back like an Erik ten Hag team does. I don't see the logic in giving him the new deal. It's surely the perfect time to move him on. You've got... It's not even as if you... say he moved on, David De Gea, this summer as a free transfer and just went off into the wind. It's not as if Man United would be totally stuck no goalkeeper. Like, he might not be the perfect goalkeeper, but until you signed another one, you've got Dean Henderson at the club. He's not going to be United's number one, but do you know what I mean? It's not as if you're then stuck with no goalkeeper at all. I think United have got the perfect opportunity just to go, okay, it's not quite worked. David, thank you for your service. We're going to allow you to leave now. You've been a brilliant goalkeeper for us, but we're going to try and go in a different direction. You look at the successful teams in recent years. Liverpool, turnover of goalkeeper was a massive factor for them signing Alisson.
Yeah.
Man City, massive factor. Ederson signing, replacing Joe Hart. I think most recently, Aaron Ramsdale completely changed the structure of Arsenal's build-up and the way they pass out from the back from Bernd Leno, who was and still is a really good goalkeeper. We see Bernd Leno this season at Fulham.
I was going to say.
Because he doesn't have to pass out from the back in such a way that Arsenal want to build attacks from, and he can be relied upon as a shot stopper. I think by post-shot expected goals, he's the second or third highest in the Premier League behind like Alisson. I think Kepa's up there as well, weirdly. But right now, it's costing United. And it's not just costing United with the build-up, the mistakes. I think that's 4 errors.
The one against West Ham. I mean, there's been a few this season, hasn't there?
I think the one about against Sevilla.
Yeah.
Just 2 weeks ago.
But obviously, this is a guy that's playing with, who's shot to bits of confidence. I mean, there's no doubting that David De Gea is a great shot stopper. Like, we've seen that throughout his entire career. One thing that he's always been consistent at is being a fantastic shot stopper. But this season, he's not been... I mean, he has had games, to be fair.
He's still got the most clean sheets, I think, of any keeper.
But right now, he's having way too many errors, right? And like you mentioned there, and
it's errors at key moments of games. Like I do feel like yesterday against West Ham, United they weren't totally dominant, but it was quite. They had building chances. There was pressure building, and then that one error releases all the pressure. The crowd get up,
and look,
the players
in his defense,
change the mentality.
In his defense as well, his left foot slips partially. I don't know what the ground is like and stuff like that. But it does. No, I'm not saying that like he should save it full stop. Yes, he should. However, like his left foot goes from under him, and that doesn't help. Instead of trying he tries to go and catch it or claim it rather than palm it away.
I nearly pulled my hair out though at the start of both halves when he gave the ball. I mean, the second half we come out back to De Gea. And he passed it straight to Antonio. It's literally I could have ripped my hair out.
The bigger reason to change him is the fact that it's not allowing you to play out the back the way you want to.
Yeah.
Rather than the fact he's made an error like he did against West Ham.
It's not going to be easy to find a goalkeeper to replace him, though.
Well, it depends what your expectations are. I mean, as you kind of pointed out, the Arsenal Ramsdale move, I don't think anyone predicted Ramsdale to go on and be the sort of success he's been.
Arteta did.
So, well, absolutely. But yeah, I think there's some interesting options out there. I think
there's a lot of clubs wanting goalkeepers this summer.
Gettable keepers out there. I think, Diogo Costa, Portuguese number 1 at Porto, a lot of talk about him. That would be like a big money move at 60 million. I mean, David Raya at Brentford, he's going to be out of contract this summer. I had a look at his stats.
Next summer, I think.
Next summer. They are so consistent.
Yeah,
he's great. He is a genuinely class keeper.
I think he's the number 1 this season. We've mentioned it. His name's
Spurs going to want a keeper as well.
Spurs want a keeper. Chelsea want a keeper. United want a keeper. That's before even looking out into Europe and who else wants to be trying to get one too.
I put down Mamardashvili for you, the Valencia keeper, who's definitely going to leave.
He's wanted by a lot of clubs.
6'5". I thought that would interest you. So
brilliant. Can he kick the ball? Can he
kick
the
question,
ball?
To be honest,
because I've actually my quota of big men love has gone. That's a terrible quote. That's a terrible quote. That's a terrible quote. Such a bad quote.
Val Weghorst has ruined big men for you, Jay. Val Weghorst has ruined big men for you.
That's such a bad quote, bro. If you ask me, clip to hell. But yeah, I think one of the. Go on.
I think go for Mike Maignan, genuine at AC Milan. I think he's the best top 3 keeper in the world.
Cost
at
an
the
arm
moment.
and a leg.
Yeah, but
there, isn't
United
he?
have got to spend. We've got to sign a striker, and God, we've got to sign a central
Yeah, but you're gonna have
midfielder.
money. If this takeover goes through, you're going to have money to spend.
If it's not necessarily going through, and we might not be in the Champions League, as if that's ever stopped us spending hundreds of millions before. By the way, but yeah, I think there are options out there. But my point about it being a slightly thinner market is mainly because United have to spend so much money in other areas. Like you mentioned at the top, a striker. You know, I mentioned Martial's goal output across the last few seasons. Weghorst, 2 goals since he's arrived at the club. If Rashford doesn't score a goal and he's running out of legs, if too much is being asked of him, or Bruno doesn't score a goal, like Bruno's created, I think, the most chances in the league by a comfortable distance from open play. Nobody's putting him in the net.
Yeah.
I'm not joking about Martial. He can't keep having like little purple patches in the season and everyone being suddenly convinced that he's a good option.
I think
Move
the
him on.
majority of people are in agreement. Like the issue for Martial is trying to find a club that want him, that are willing to give United the right amount of money for him, so on and so forth. Like, look, how many times have we spoken about United? The big ones this season: a striker, a goalkeeper,
A centre mid.
a centre mid.
A centre mid.
Like,
Honestly, I can't
right back
emphasise
probably
this
they're
enough.
gonna look
A
forward
centre
to.
mid. Ericsson, really good technical footballer, but he just does not have the legs to play 90 minutes of Premier League football. Has a game controlling midfield.
But
It's
that's
too
tough.
easy to run off the back of him, and he's not got enough physicality to be able to do it in that deep lying role consistently.
3 priority positions in the summer is not easy. Like to go and when people know that you want that. Like I think
agree.
if you ended the summer right and you got your striker in, and you got your goalkeeper in, and you didn't get the centre mid in, I don't think you'd be that disappointed, would you?
Yeah, I mean, clearly strikers the biggest priority by an absolute mile, isn't it? Given the goal scoring numbers, I think United have only scored 49 goals this season in the Premier League. And, you know, just nowhere near good enough, is it? When you look at Arsenal, I think 89, Man City, 83. You're 40 goals behind them in league play. And you wonder why the points tally isn't there. I think United, by expected goals, 6th in the league, expected goals against, 6th in the league. This is a squad that, you know, Erik ten Hag is kind of working with, but when he looks to his bench at 60 minutes after 60 games and everyone's fried, he's going and bringing on here Weghorst, Maguire, Fred, Scott McTominay. Like that squad's got serious problems, man.
I can see us talking about United striker all summer. I can see that happening.
It needs to
being
get done
dragged
early.
out
Just get it done
all
early.
summer as well.
Get it done early. Please, God. Get it done early. Let's go back to the top 4 chat, though, because I've got the remaining fixtures for these 3 sides, because it's really between United, Liverpool and Newcastle now for those 2 spots, isn't it? Liverpool now, I think it's 6 wins from 6. They are motoring. They've got Leicester City away. Then they've got Villa, which is a tough game. Villa. Really, really tough game under Unai Emery. And then they've got Southampton away. Southampton, at that stage, will already be relegated, so that'd be a tap-in.
Yeah.
So I think United's only realistic hope there for me is Villa get a point or something at Anfield, which is very rare.
I mean, and what if Jurgen Klopp does that,
9 from 9 against
would
top 4.
be after like all the he's got all season.
He's done it before, though, isn't he?
No, he has done it before. But what I mean is, like, after so much rubbish from people. I mean, I remember us sitting here as well. People answering questions about 7th season syndrome and all that kind of stuff, and him to go and get top 4. I mean, it would be incredible.
Now his forwards all coming back from injury. Suddenly, look, they've got so many options.
Too.
Yeah, Trent looks rejuvenated. They seem to be kind of peaking again at the right times, which is quite worrying for you.
It is, and I can definitely see them winning out. I think United's only hope there is Aston Villa, which means United have to win, and it doesn't matter what Liverpool do. Let's just go back to that sort of Man City Arsenal comparison. United just got to focus on winning. United win 3 games. It's impossible for Liverpool to win out.
From your
it doesn't
remaining
make a
4,
difference what Liverpool do.
From your remaining 4, I think you win 3.
United have got Wolves at home, Bournemouth away, Chelsea at home, Fulham at home. United very fortunate to have 3 home games at the end of this. I think United are 32 games unbeaten at Old Trafford.
Wolves at
this
home
season.
as well. Like they've been quite, especially over the past couple of weeks, they've been quite up and down. Like I think you guys get.
They got an amazing result though at the weekend against Aston Villa.
No,
who
they
are one
did.
of the form teams
They did.
in the league.
They also
the only
lost
thing United have got
6 to Brighton the week before.
Yeah, the only thing you kind of got to hope with, like a lot of these teams, Wolves nothing to play for, safe on the beach. Bournemouth safe, nothing to play for on the beach. Chelsea safe, nothing to play for. Fulham safe, nothing. Like none of these teams have anything to play for. Liverpool, Villa have something to play for. They'll be playing for top 4.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's European football.
Leicester.
And then Leicester probably playing for safety. And then you look at Newcastle's fixtures. They've got Brighton probably playing for European football. Leeds playing for safety, Leicester playing for safety, so that might play into United's favour, but they've just got to get scoring goals again. Can't be failing to score so consistently with those home games. Let's make some predictions then. Who gets the 2 top 4 spots?
I think it will be... I think United will get it. I do think United will get one.
I think so.
You know what? Let's go with...
I think
Liverpool.
the top 4 as it is for me.
You think Newcastle drop out?
I think Newcastle might drop out.
Drop points against Brighton and Chelsea.
You think Newcastle?
I think they'll
drop out?
I think they'll drop points against Brighton. I'm really interested about Leeds.
They're not going to drop points against Sam Allardyce's Leeds. We're going to talk about Sam Allardyce's Leeds in the relegation in a minute, but they're not going to drop points there.
Well, we'll see.
I think United are going to drop out. I think United are going to drop
United are going to
points.
drop out? I think you're being really pessimistic.
Yeah, I think
I think
United.
you're being really
I think you're going to
pessimistic
finish 4th.
I
Newcastle
think
3rd, United 4th.
Liverpool win out. I think Newcastle comfortably in there. I think United drop points against Wolves and drop points against Chelsea. Seriously, I can see. I think United are collapsing. I think they've run out of steam and they haven't got the goals and they haven't got the back line with injuries.
I think you're being quite down about this. Jay. It wasn't like you got.
Listen to the
hammered
tone
by
of his
West
voice.
Ham.
He is down.
You
Goodness.
didn't get battered by West Ham. You lost 1-0 to one of the worst goalkeeper mistakes I've seen in a long time. Like, you're not hitting the panic button just yet, mate. You're
I
fine.
am firmly hitting the panic button. I've panicked. I've panicked. Let's chat about the relegation then, shall we?
Let's.
Because Big Sam back in the Premier League.
Love to see
Glorious to see him. I saw a photograph of the 2 dugouts pre-game as the managers came out, and it was like taken from afar, and there was like 100 press photographers in front of Big Sam, none in front of Pep. I thought, this is real Barclays.
Wow.
This is serious Barclays, because Big Sam is...
People love him.
He's the machine.
Go on.
They love him. What did you think of his quotes last week when he arrived and he was like...
Well, I think he said deliberately he was trying to stir up a bit more of a media storm.
He did well to kind of take the... Basically, I thought he did really well. Whether he meant it or not was to kind of take the heat a little bit off of Leeds' situation. And suddenly everyone was like, "You see Big Sam's quotes?" Rather than like, "Have you seen what Sam's got to deal with?"
That's a really good point, actually.
At Leeds right now.
Yeah.
And again, whether he meant to do that on purpose, I don't know. And like to a degree, I thought because Pep came up afterwards, and he's like, "Yeah, he's right." I mean, Pep does this quite a lot, where he's kind of just like very complimentary about another team.
If Pep's
which is about to
complimenting
batter.
you are in trouble.
Yeah.
People like, obviously he's a bit of a joke in terms of people look
Who,
at
Pep or Sam?
Big Sam in terms of like, he's just about saving teams from relegation. He has done a lot of good things in football. I was up in Sunderland last week, and we were talking. Some of the taxi drivers up there, they love him for what he did at Sunderland and like the football he had them playing. He's not. I think he was ahead of his time in terms of like the stats that he was brought.
Yeah, he was like he's
a really interesting guy.
Data guy.
Yeah, he is, and you know, this might be a challenge too far. I think turning this Leeds side around. And after watching that performance,
what did you
think?
The
thing is, it looks good to lose 2-1 away at Man City for him. That looks like it's a bit in terms of they didn't get blown away on the scoreline, but really, if you watch the game, it was backs against the wall the whole time. I felt so sorry for Bamford up top. I mean,
I thought it was poor decision.
I thought he was poor, Bamford.
Yeah,
the entire game.
Really
I just don't think he had anything to work with whatsoever. And
I thought he should have started Rodrigo. Rodrigo got 12 goals. Obviously, he scored his 12th against City. Like, I thought the idea that, to be fair, Bamford also started the previous game as well instead of Rodrigo. But I just think Rodrigo's the guy.
Bamford's more of a classic 9, though, isn't he? Bamford's more of a Sam Allardyce classic 9. You think back to the Big Sam favourites. Yeah. They are classic number 9s, and the way he set up it was almost a 4-3-3, wasn't it? With Forshaw dropping so much deeper than you would expect usually. And Rodrigo isn't that classic number 9. He's more of a 9-10 hybrid.
But it didn't work with Bamford either. Like every time Bamford got the ball, it was a bad touch, or his passes off to a midfielder were so bad. Like it was really, really poor from him. But this season he's been poor as well. Like he's under. I think he should have scored like 8 goals this season. He's got 4.
I don't think this game really defines.
Very true. That is also a good point.
They probably looked at this and
19% possession across the
19%.
Yeah.
It was quite painful to watch. Actually, it was almost like a training sort of match at some points. But yeah, really it starts now. Really, it's the next 3 games, because I don't think anyone realistically, Robbie Keane or anyone in that sort of coaching squad, looks at that game against City and thinks, yeah, we're going to get something from this. And to be fair, they almost did.
Well, and you think they're going to get something from Newcastle and Tottenham?
I think there's a much higher likelihood that they can do that. Yeah.
That's not. That is. I mean, against Man City, you have got quite
so
literally
you
have a much better.
Basically, 1% chance.
You said it. City haven't lost a game
since February
in years. It feels like Newcastle have been tasting a few more defeats recently, so they'll have something for it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, I get the Sam Allardyce appointment. And obviously, Grazia was an absolute disaster. Let's have it right.
Yeah.
I think, what did he concede? 20 goals across the calendar month.
Yeah,
Which is the first time that's happened since Leeds is Bielsa. So Leeds have a track record.
Leeds do have people that can score goals. They do have some attacking players. Like
Sinistero.
Nonto is still
Jack
like
Harrison?
an exciting. It's like, I think Jack Harrison, when he's on form, he's all right. Like, they do have the ability to, because that's all they've known for like the last few years is going forward. So I think they will be able to etch out
it's a big
opportunities.
shift, isn't it?
Allardyce's first 4 games, though, his last 4 clubs. I'll read you out the record. West Brom, when he first took over there, his first 4 games, 1-0. Crystal Palace, 1-0. Sunderland, 1-1. Everton, obviously, in the midst there as well. He did win 3, but that was a much better Everton side. He classically, his first 4 games have not been spectacular, and to give him 4, it's not enough time.
No, it's not.
I don't believe it's
There's
enough
little
time.
things
for 4
as well,
games. What
like-
can you change in 4 games?
And in his post-match press conference, he was like, the players just need to give the extra 5% and stuff like this. And I was like, I think they need a bit more than just 5%, to be quite honest. Like, the game plan right now, and again, it is against City, and maybe it'll be a little bit easier to see what his idea is when he plays a Newcastle or when he plays a West Ham or something. And kind of come out of the game and analyse what he's done a bit more, because it really, against City, they were very much against,
there was a great bit in the
against the wall.
Great bit in the first half where they had a free kick. Finally had like an opportunity to hump it into the box, and he's just smashed it straight out of play. Cuts to Big Sam. He's gone fucking waste.
Classic Big Sam.
It was so good to see.
What did you think of his decision? Because obviously Leeds fans for a long time now have been asking for this, but straight through the door, Melier out the squad. Not out the squad, but out the team. Dropped straight away.
Who knew?
Joel Robles, totally forgot he was even at Leeds.
Yeah, I mean, Melier, I think, is still this young kid. Like, for the age that he is, to have played, to
23.
have the amount of experience that he's had in the Premier League is crazy. Like, he's 6'6". He is good with the ball at his feet. He's
Is
very
he,
much
though?
He is. We've seen it throughout this, especially under Bielsa. We saw it.
We saw it in 2020, 2021, I think, when it, like, COVID times was probably when he was at his best. I think he's been really bad this season.
This season he has, yeah. I think but also, like, I think the whole team has been bad, and like there's been no coherent defense, because if you remember when he first came up with Bielsa, like, they were still conceding so many chances,
and
he
goals.
was the guy. But he was the guy at the times that kind of kept them in games due to just the fact by making miracle saves.
I know, but those miracle saves have now stopped, and
Yeah,
we're now
yeah,
seeing
this season has
again
been
just
poor. I don't
conceding
disagree with
20 goals a month, which is just like the most unsustainable figure ever.
But when you've got someone like Luke Ayling, who isn't tracking back in a position where, which is literally part of his role, and not helping out the defence, and then the keeper's got to deal with an extra man that's now on the left wing. Like, I can understand why it's not worked out this season for him. I think if people like, whether Melier is a goalkeeper is one of the next best for the next 10 years, I don't know. Is he Premier League quality? I do believe that.
He's just shot of confidence. That's the bottom line. Like, that performance against Bournemouth is one of the worst I've seen as a goalkeeper. But it's not as if he's just forgotten what he's all about. Like, I completely agree with you. I think, like most of this Leeds squad, he just needs to hit the reset button. Actually, I think maybe a move away to a team where he's not being peppered every 5 minutes by in front of a defence.
We mentioned earlier, a lot of teams looking for goalkeepers. I think it'd be a bit more of a risk to go and get someone like Melier for sure. Like, if I was at Spurs, I wouldn't necessarily.
I think like a year ago or like 18 months ago, teams would have been fairly interested.
Yeah.
Like, I think there were rumours of Tottenham and Manchester United. I just don't see it now. Let's go to these relegation fixtures then after the weekend's games. Obviously, there's huge games tonight for Forest against Southampton at home. Everton have got to go away to Brighton. Gross. Leicester have all your boys, haven't they? At the Cottage, is that? I think at the Cottage. What do we think? They're all on 30 points. Leeds, Forest, Everton, Leicester. They're all on 30 points.
This is the thing. I think the saving grace of Big Sam could just be the fact that the other teams around them are falling down too. It's not as if any of them.
You've just got to win one game. I really do. 33 points might keep you up.
It's nuts. Like, the Bundesliga this weekend, all the relegation candidates were winning games. Like, they were beating everyone. Some of the results this weekend were crazy there. Here, like, I don't see where the wins are coming from, in all honesty.
If Leicester get a result tonight,
I think they might do. Yeah,
against Fulham, especially a Fulham without Mitrovic, a Fulham that kind of, as we mentioned earlier, season's happy, like they're kind of happy with where they are. Then I think they'll be all right.
Yeah,
I think they'll be all right.
They're the ones I'm least worried about.
If they don't beat Fulham, they're not going to beat Liverpool.
They're not going to beat Liverpool. They're not going to beat Newcastle.
West Ham final day of the season. Like, it'll go down. The relegation will go down to the final day of the season. Not
Everton, I can't believe. Like, Everton, I think Everton are down, man. Like, Brighton away, City at home.
Wolves
the defence
away.
under Dyche has not improved. It's as bad statistically as it was in the dying days of Frank Lampard. The one thing I was expecting Dyche to come in and do was solidify the back line. They're conceding as many goals, if not more goals, under Sean Dyche than they were in the dying days of Lampard. They're still not able to score, even though, you know, they got the 2 against Leicester away, kind of scrambling over the line. Like, they just can't defend.
They
can't defend.
Unlike the other teams, though, they are etching out like draws and stuff like that. They are picking up like the odd point here and there. I know there's only 4 games left, but
do you see them doing
Mate,
that against Brighton or Man City?
I can see them winning the last 2 games, Wolves and Bournemouth.
You can see Everton beating Wolves and Bournemouth.
Yeah.
They haven't won a single game in the last 5.
I don't know about that, man.
Like, Forest have at least won a game. Like, they just... The fixtures are just vile. Like, I would not... Probably my 2 least favourite teams to play would be City and Brighton as well, maybe Arsenal. Like, I would rather play Newcastle, I think, than Brighton. Especially at Brighton. Like, it's a horror show there. It's an absolute horror show. Like, look at what Brighton did to Wolves. Like, you give, like, one sniff of a dominating performance, and they just absolutely annihilate you. Evan Ferguson back as well. I think Everton are down for me. Like, I don't think it might be Everton. For Everton.
I think Everton Leeds.
You think Everton
Even though
Leeds?
I said earlier that I think Leeds could possibly get something against Newcastle.
Forest have got Southampton at home, Chelsea, Arsenal, Palace. I think Forest and Everton are going to go down. I just don't see where the wins like.
You don't think Forest? I feel like Forest could draw
against who?
Like one of those. Like they could beat Southampton.
They have to beat Southampton. If they beat Southampton, then I agree. But I don't see them beating Chelsea. I don't see them beating Arsenal, and I don't see them going Selhurst and getting a win either. Like,
I don't see them getting a win, but I can see them getting a draw.
Yeah, I genuinely, all of these teams could lose all of the remaining fixtures.
I agree. I think it's going to be thrilling. It's going to go down to the final day, but I do think that Forest and Leeds are going to go down. I think Everton and Leicester are going to be fine.
If you're one of the fans for these clubs, like, God, I feel sorry for you. Like, the next month or the rest of this month is not going to be a fun period. Good luck.
Huge teams going around.
I mean, look, we did the video on Football Daily about Everton. If you've not checked it out, watch it. It's done really, really well. Thank you guys for watching. If you have, but it explains the situation. If Everton go down, like,
go and watch that explained back.
Really bad.
Really bad, like, financially for the stadium, for a lot of the players' contracts and stuff. Please do go and watch that video. I think you wrote it, didn't you, Hannes?
I did.
It's mud. Do you want to give a brief surmiser for the people that haven't maybe seen it?
Well,
about just how bad it'll be for Everton to go down?
Everyone knows how much money they've spent. Like, they've got a net debt, £150 million. They're looking to get more investment in the club at the moment. We've seen reports recently that closing in on some potential new shareholders. The reality is they're not going to be wanting to invest in this if they go down, because they're suddenly going to lose all of their best players. Probably a lot of them aren't going to want to stick around. A lot more on wages which are untenable for the Championship. You're then looking at this going, what is this Everton project? Do I think they could have the ability to bounce back? Yes, because they're a big club. If they go down to the Championship, but at the same time, like, they've lost a serious amount of money. They've potentially got they're under investigation as it is. They've potentially got like a sporting fine, which could be a points deduction down the line. Like, it is genuinely scary for Everton at the moment, and I just cannot believe that, like, they've arrived at this situation after all the money they've spent.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so anybody want to mention anything else from the weekends? Football across Europe?
What did you think of the Pep Gundogan situation?
Yeah, we should talk about that, actually. The Pep Gundogan situation. I think Pep is absolutely in the right. I think Haaland got to demand that penalty. I saw Alan Shearer talking about this after the game on Match of the Day, and he said that there was a match against Sheffield Wednesday where Newcastle was 7-0 up, and somebody tried to take the penalty off him, and he basically told him to, like, get away from it. Like, he'd already scored 5. Like, I think that should have been Haaland's attitude. Haaland should have been like, Gundogan, give me the ball. Now I'm taking this.
Especially in that situation, like, 2-0 isn't...
Goal difference.
They say, what's the saying? 2-0 is the worst score. Like,
goal difference isn't probably going to be a factor in the league, but nevertheless, like, Haaland should just be demanding that. Like, give me this. Yeah. I'm going to 36.
Especially as well with Man City.
Forget niceness.
Like, Man City's penalty takers haven't actually ever been that great.
They've been awful.
Yeah, and so you finally got one in Erling Haaland who is putting them all away. I know he missed one not too long ago, but he's putting them all away. The others, what are you doing?
Yeah, and
What's
like
happening
Pep
here?
being like refusing to shake or like not shaking his
That-
hand.
that
It
for
was
me is a
so
bit like, oh,
goated.
Yeah.
That's great, man. I love Pep for that sort of thing. He's so petty.
Gundogan looked like a naughty schoolboy, didn't he? Sort of head
The
off.
thing
in his
was,
hands.
is that in the 60, there was, I think it was 58 seconds between the penalty being missed and Rodrigo going out the other end and scored. I was like, they're going to blow this. And there was a part of my brain that was like, they're actually going to blow this, and it's going to come back to that one
Typical
I
penalty
felt
moment.
that. Do you remember then? Like the next minute after that, Leeds then got the ball and were like herring down, and then they just did like an absolute crap pass. I was like, oh wait, no, they're playing Leeds.
They're playing Leeds. Yeah, they're playing Leeds. They're playing Leeds. I'm on Pep's side though.
No, I am as well. Like I think I'm surprised Haaland didn't maybe bite him a little bit more after that.
Yeah.
been
Okay.
feeling.
Let's talk about some things to look forward to over the coming week. Zachary.
Yeah, Luka Modric signing a new deal at Real Madrid.
Well
Who
done.
would've thought it?
Well done. The
Who would've
worst
thought
shout
it?
in Sunday Vibes
No, you
history.
made it happen, mate. You made it happen.
No, to be honest, when I knew he was going to sign it anyway, I still thought.
So
it was
why
I
did
thought
you
it was a fun
suggest it?
suggestion. I thought it was a fun suggestion. It's
Yeah,
better than
you're a
like some of the
fool,
other
mate.
ones as well, and I still believe that. I
Top
still
three
believe
worst
it
ever.
was. I still believe it. Like I still believe if he went to City, it would have been good.
And that is going to be announced in like the next 48 hours. So expect, don't we?
Yeah, and fair
It's
play
already
to
given
the
it to the
him and Cruz. I think are both getting one,
Okay.
an extra year.
Anything from you, Champo?
Probably into the mic, probably.
Last day of championships today. Excited to see who's going to make the playoffs.
That was going to be my one. So
Was it? No.
yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, Champions League. I actually am excited for the Derby della Madonnina. Okay,
Yeah, huge.
so-
That the fact that one of the Milan clubs going to be in the final is so big.
Yeah, it's epic. Also, didn't explain about Inter Milan and why they may need to get to the final more than AC in terms of their
I
finances.
did really well as well.
Go check that out on EFD if you remember that channel.
Mm.
So yeah, that's gonna be wicked. Like the atmosphere at San Siro is gonna be off the chain.
So who's at home first leg? Who gets the fans?
I don't know. I can't remember. But either way, like in the quarterfinals, like the atmosphere there was going off, and yeah, I think Inter. We're talking about this in the car. I think Inter have to get to the final to have a chance against Real or
You don't think AC stand a shot?
The AC got no chance.
over
Inter are
one
a better
game.
Cup
Over one game, I do not see AC Milan having the potential to do. I mean, they've got obviously Rafael, etc.
I agree.
But I just think that Inter Milan are playing so well at the moment. Lukaku scoring goals again. Lautaro Martinez looking excellent. They've at least got some serious weapons and some stability through that side that I think could hold on against a team like Madrid or City, which I just don't see. I see AC Milan getting blitzed if they get to the final.
I do as well. I totally agree. I think if AC get to the final, then it could be a cricket score. At least Inter are a cup team.
Yeah.
Like we've seen what Inter have been able to do in shootouts and like one-off games, one-off moments, big moments, just turn up and Inzaghi somehow put together an 11 that kind of crumbles over the line. If AC get there, I think it's going to be ugly scenes. So I kind of want Inter to go through as well. And I think we should briefly mention City vs Madrid as well.
It's going to be, I mean, look, we would, I think not the normal person, but everyone would be kind of sitting there and thinking that
City
Man
going to
City,
rickroll them.
yeah, Man City going to roll them. It's obviously it's away at the Bernabeu, but this is
City
a Real,
going to roll them.
but this is also a Real Madrid side that in the Champions League under Carlo Ancelotti are just the guys.
City going to go to the Bernabeu,
Vini
boss
Jr.
the ball.
is just ridiculous on the left wing.
City
Rodrigo's had
bossed-
such a great
let's
season.
Let's be real. City bossed them at the Burnabout last year.
Yeah, and they
if it was not
lost.
for 5
And
minutes of
lost.
madness,
Yeah,
they're going to go
But
there
this is what we
year
mean about the
and boss
competition.
them again.
this is what we mean about the competition.
No,
Like,
they're going to
it's
go
just
there and
something
boss them. I think
special.
Jack Grealish scores a goal. I think Erling Haaland scores a goal. I think it could be 2 or 3-0 City.
Look, I like sure. My head also thinks the same. However, my heart believes that Real Madrid in the Champions League is just this weird,
With you, Zach, I'm with you.
loving.
Yeah.
But who knows? Look, you know what? Yeah, sure. 4-0 City. That's what I'll say.
4-0 City. Let's actually do some predictions for the Champions League. Go on.
Yeah. You know what? It needs a big game. This competition. It's been a bit boring this season compared to like last season. So yeah, I think this will be it. I think we could see something like a 5-3 aggregate to Man City getting through against Madrid, and then I think actually Inter are going to I think they'll get like a 3-4-0 win over AC Milan.
Across
Aggregate.
the 2 legs.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a monster. Yeah, I think Inter and Man City.
You know what? I'll change. I'll go Man City AC. Why not?
Nice. My thing to look forward to is actually today will be, Henry briefly mentioned there, the Championship final day.
So much can happen.
Yeah, because there is just so much room for sway. Like I've got the table in front of me here. I mean, Blackburn, down to Blackburn obviously is where we're looking, but it honestly is going to be insanely tense.
Yeah.
Like, because teams are playing each other within this, teams like Luton and that and Millwall have so much say on this
West
final
Brom,
day.
Sunderland.
I know.
Like,
It's I dread to think the emotions Doogie's going through today.
Some of me, like, a part of me wants to see Millwall in the Premier League, just for 1
You
year.
know what?
But the thing is, because they play Blackburn, it's going to be like they can ruin Blackburn's promotion or playoff hopes as well. Like, I just think the tension today for Doogie Critchley, I would pay to. He's in Amsterdam, isn't he? On a stag, I would pay to have a GoPro on Doogie today, trying to get the live score updates in some Amsterdam red light district pub.
It's on Sky, I think, today. Yeah, that and West Brom are on Sky. It's going to be like, again, even as a player, knowing like it can't be easy playing, but also having to like keep an ear out for the fans and how they react to other results. You always see it all the time where like fans, like, even though their team are winning, just suddenly disappointed in the crowd.
It's actually crazy how badly Blackburn have thrown it away. Just looking at the results, like 5 winless games now. That's unbelievable. Who do you think is going to go up alongside Burnley and Sheffield United? Do you think it'll be Middlesbrough under Carrick?
Yeah, I think so. I
Out of teams that probably deserve to, per se, like they've obviously played some incredible football. Akpom up top's just been ridiculous.
Cameron Archer has been a revelation since joining in loan.
Indeed.
As well. I think I'm kind of hoping it'll be Middlesbrough or Millwall. I don't know this, but I want to see Millwall back in the Premier League.
I say Luton still in with a shot.
I reckon they would get
third.
Millwall would get hammered, but just for one season, it would be like a real wrecking ball.
I really wouldn't mind Luton, honestly. Like this, especially we spoke about for ages about that stadium and like that being in the Premier League. I think crazy.
Promotion to the Premier League for Luton could almost be a disaster for them. Do you know it's one of these things when a small team goes up and suddenly it's just.
I'm not sure.
No, they have to. I think if they do, they have to increase
£10 million they have to spend just to bring Kenilworth Road up to.
Yeah, because the away end, if anybody's ever seen the videos of walking to Kenilworth Road's away end, you actually have to go through people's back gardens.
Yeah.
Remarkable. So tune in today for the Championship final day, live on Sky. That will be little plug there. Anyway, that's it for today's episode of Monday Vibes. It was our first ever one. Let us know what you thought of it. It was quite chatty. We want to hear some feedback from you guys. Please do let us know in the comments below. Yeah, we're going to try and get some of them podcast arm things to attach onto the table so you don't have to hold it and rattle it around for the full hour or however long we've been recording. Let us know some thoughts in the comments below. Tune into yesterday's Sunday Vibes and Henry's excellent Explained on Everton,
Banger.
which is banging right now. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. We'll see you later. Goodbye.